Hey everybody, what's up? It's Crow. It's been a while since I've put out a video, but I figured today I could do the top 10 RLCS teams for the winter split. The winter split has brought a lot of different roster moves to North American Rocket League, and I just wanted to compile a quick list of who I think is really going to be impressive and possibly have major contention and all that fun stuff. But before we get into it, I haven't uploaded in quite a long time, and so some people may be out of the loop about what's going on with me and my channel and my career and all that stuff. I do encourage people to head over to my Twitter, and I have a post there titled Retiring from Competitive Rocket League. And in case you guys weren't aware, I do recommend reading that, but if you want the short little bit, I am officially done with competitive play. I am strictly looking at content and maybe casting, coaching, whatever, but content is a very, very big part of what I plan on doing now. So it's been a long time, but I am here back on YouTube to make some content. And I have been streaming a lot on Twitch lately as well, so I really do recommend you guys go follow me over there too. I've been streaming about 5 days a week now, and it's been great. But enough about me. I really want to cover who I think the top 10 RLCS teams are going to be. And this is just my opinion, of course. So many of the RLCS teams and players on these teams are super talented. And the difference between like 10th and 5th and maybe like 10th and people who aren't on this list, who are like 11th, 12th, 13th, are all super close in skill. I have so much respect for all these players. But yeah, I really, really want to cover just who I think is going to benefit from these roster moves and which teams will be able to stand up to these roster moves as well. So in my number 10 spot, this might come as a surprise to some people, but I actually have Rogue. You might expect to see like a Torrent, an Oxygen, maybe a Sonics here, but I think with the addition of Aqua, they will really, really start to find their form. Aqua is very young, talented player. He's going to be a rookie this season, and I think Gyro is a great playmaker. He's going to set up a lot of stuff for Aqua, and Taroko is going to play back, keep them pretty safe. Last season, Rogue kind of were in a weird spot with their roster, losing First Killer to FaZe, trading for Gyro, and I think that roster needed more time to figure out how they wanted to play, and I think there was just some meshing issues. They didn't really gel very well on the pitch, in my opinion. But now that they have a player that they can kind of build around and feed the ball to, I expect this team to really, make some plays in the pitch and be more comfortable with each other and have a lot more trust. So I've actually got them kind of making a big resurgence from last season, even though they actually, despite some of the issues I think they had, they were 11th overall in ranking last season. So they were just outside the top 10 already, and I think they weren't even that in form. And this season, I think they will definitely be in form. So I have them at least at top 10, and I'm pretty comfortable with this pick. Up next, at 9th, I have Xset. I think this roster is always super solid. Last split, they were top 8 every single time, but that was where their runs were cut short, running into like a G2, an NRG, a Complexity, an SSG, something like that. They can never really break past the top 8, but they always made it. So they're super consistent. They play very solidly. They do a good job like playing off of each other. But I think it takes a lot more than just being solid to really break into, major contention. So I think Xset, because they didn't make any changes, unless they've done something very different with their play style, or maybe they just had a bad split, it's going to take more from them. I'm going to need to see more from them to really rank them any higher for this split. Above them, I actually have Ghost, who I think are kind of a similar team, very consistent. But I think I like the way Ghosts play a little more. When I watch them play high-level competition, I feel like they control the midfield a bit more. The only thing that they really need is a more threatening offense. They're always capable of like punishing little mistakes, just because they have that midfield control. So they put a lot of pressure on a team, but if the team's defense doesn't make any mistakes, Ghosts kind of just don't score. So I think for them to be any higher, they do need to be a little bit more threatening, and I don't know, maybe mix it up a little bit, kind of like Xset. I kind of have Ghost and Xset around the same area, but I think I would want to give Ghost the edge just a little bit. At number 7, I have Envy. And they're really only down here in 7th because I'm not quite sure how their play style is going to work out. They just picked up Drees, so the roster right now is Turbo, Mist, and Drees. And losing Atomic is like, it's not like it's that Atomic is so much better than Drees. Atomic is a great player, but Drees is also really, really good. And if you watched his performance on G2 the last season, Drees is a great player. He did a lot for his team, but I think his role on G2 is a lot different than Atomic's role was on Envy. There are big differences in the job that he will now have to do, and I'm not sure if Envy will want to keep their old style, if they want to try something new. Envy have been together for quite a while now, so switching it up with Drees I think is going to be interesting. I think this roster has a lot of potential to be good, but I think they're going to need some time to figure out exactly how they want to play. So for now, I have them at 7th just because I'm just unsure. So we'll see. But they're definitely all very, very talented. Coming in number 6, I actually have V1. I think this roster is super scary with the addition of Beast Mode. Beast Mode and Calm on offense with Torment playing back, keeping the team from overcommitting, making those 1v2 saves just in case Beast Mode and Calm both go for something crazy. I think this team is very, very scary to play against. And if they just play with trust, if Calm and Beast Mode can avoid double committing and allow Torment to rotate in occasionally here and there and take some shots, I think this team is really, really, really going to rise up the rankings. They looked really good last split and kind of faltered right near the end, unfortunately. But V1 have always been on the cusp of breaking into that top 6, top 5, and just barely coming short every time. But I think the Beast Mode edition is what they're going to need to really, really break through. So I expect big things from this roster. At number 5, I have Complexity. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to put V1 above Complexity. After looking back through VODs and stats and just watching the team play again, I really think I can't rate any Complexity any lower. Complexity came into the RLCS, from the South American region and proved to everybody that they belong in the major region. They are a team that's here to play. They're probably the most aggressive team in North America. I think with their play style, they're not afraid to challenge the ball. But it's not like they're super ball chasing. They just hit the ball randomly. Their touches are also really good. They know when to take their time as well. I mean, they love to go for flip resets and air dribbles. So they're one of the scariest teams to play against. I think the only thing that they need to prove is that this season they're going to be able to continue that pressure and that aggression and actually keep scoring and finding those openings against the new talent that's entering the scene. A lot of these young mechanical 15-year-olds, a lot of them have played a lot of ones as well. Their goal line saves are great. Their defense is really good. So I could see Complexity maybe not being able to show up to the major again just because they might attack too much and get counterattacked, but we'll see. Complexity are the real deal, so I have them at 5th, minimum. At number 4, I have SSG, and as you can see in my notes, it just says Daniel, and that's because it's self-explanatory really. Daniel was the hottest prospect available for this new generation of players coming into the RLCS. And Daniel is an incredibly good player. His potential is probably limitless, but it'll be his first season, and we'll see what SSG do. SSG have Daniel in place of Sipical, so it's Reddles, Arsenal, and Daniel. And I'm not sure if they're going to want Daniel playing back like Sipical was, or if they want to move Reddles or Arsenal back and allow Daniel kind of free reign to do whatever he wants on the ball. We'll see what kind of play style they go with, and they're going to need some time to figure stuff out, but at the very least, they'll be very good. And if they really start figuring out how they want to play with Daniel and Daniel starts to get comfortable, this team will be scary. Speaking of scary teams, as we enter the top 3, I do want to mention that I think this is probably one of the hardest top 3s I've ever had to separate. If I could put them in a category by themselves, they would definitely all be like S+ tier. The next 3 teams, I think, are going to be probably in the finals every single time with each other. So At number three, I have FaZe. Switching from Illusion to Sypical, I think, is going to be interesting for FaZe. Some people might think that, you know, who's gonna be aggressive, who's gonna move up and get the ball rolling, because Illusion used to challenge the ball all the time and really set up like a free ball for First or AJ. Sypical tends to, at least when he was on SSG, play back a little more and play it safe. Sypical wants the ball to spill out to him so he can like take a free possession and do something like a solo play with it, or just pass the ball if he can't. And Illusion really didn't play like that at all. So I thought at first it would be kind of weird for FaZe to get used to it, but then as I thought about it more, I was like, well, First wants to be on the ball and an aggressive player. Like he wants to be like top of the leaderboard, has as many touches on the ball as he can. He's super deadly on the ball. So maybe the switch from Illusion to Sypical will allow First to go into like maximum overdrive and just be very comfortable getting multiple touches in a row, and really unlocking First to ball chase as much as he wants is going to really suck if you're on the other team. It's going to be so difficult to get touches on the ball, win challenges, get past your half if First is constantly on the ball, taking it away from you. And when you do get past First and AJ, you will have to deal with Sypical in the backline, and he really held it down for Space Station. So I think FaZe are going to be really tough to get past the midfield on and actually take a good shot. And also, if you take a good shot, it doesn't matter because AJ, First, and Sip all have incredible goal line defense. So this team is super scary, but I still only have them at third. Again, the top three are super close with each other. My number 2 is G2, and I think people are probably underrating, maybe not underrating, but I think people that have FaZe above G2 might be underrating G2 right now. The addition of Atomic is a very, very big deal for them. Atomic is an incredible player, and he has been like a standout player on his team for a long time. Probably ever since he entered the RLCS, he's been like the go-to guy for his team. He gets stuff done. G2's playstyle is probably going to remain largely unchanged. They've been a very aggressive team that really has only been susceptible to counterattacks. Atomic is such a difficult player to take the ball from, and he's a great playmaker. He sets up a lot of stuff. He wins a lot of challenges, but he's also mechanical and can do solo plays when he does get the ball. He's also a pretty physical player. He'll go for bumps a lot, and G2 will like to go for a lot of bumps so they can sustain their offense. So as long as there's not a lot of double commits and there's a lot of trust on this team, I think we could see G2 putting up like record shots this season, just trapping teams in their own half if they can't keep up the pace with G2. So I have them at number 2. And my number 1 team, you can probably guess it, is NRG. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to put them up at number 1 for this split. They didn't make any changes, not that they need to. They were the highest placing North American team in the rankings. They placed, you know, highest in NA at the major, only losing to BDS. So it's really tough to pick against them, and they're just so consistent. The only thing I'm worried about with NRG and why I would want to put them maybe below both G2 and FaZe is that NRG invite pressure sometimes. They will sometimes just give up the midfield because they want boost, and they'll kind of huddle up in the net or on the backboard or in the corners waiting for the attack to happen so they can save it and get the counter. But I'm not sure if that's going to work with some of these rosters. Like FaZe and G2 are incredibly aggressive now and have the freedom to kind of go all out. And I'm not sure if opting into playing defense is going to be the right move this split. We'll see. NRG have time and time again proven people that they can handle just about any kind of pressure. So I am not going to bet against them, and I still think they'll be very good, but we'll see. The top 3 are super, super close. This is going to be some of the best Rocket League we've seen all split, in my opinion. There are just so many good rosters now that it was so difficult for me to even rank these. It took me forever. And it definitely would have been easier if I made like a tier list instead, because then I could put a bunch of teams in like A and S, because I honestly think NA Rocket League has really, really leveled up this split with the way some of these rosters turned out. So I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my tier list. Let me know if you agree, disagree, anything like that in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.